Hello, I'm Brian Genscher with Stratfor's Vice President of Global Analysis, Reva Bhalla, and today we'll be discussing the ever-heightening tensions surrounding Syria's civil war and the potential for spreading into Lebanon. Reva, on October 19th, a key intelligence official in Lebanon was killed in a bombing in Beirut. Why was he the target, and who might have had an interest in eliminating him?
Well, Hassan was a key conduit in the Syrian rebel supply chain, and so that involved a network involving much of the Sunni community in Lebanon, particularly northern Lebanon, as well as the Sunni-dominated internal security forces in Lebanon. Only one Sunni-dominated force in the entire security apparatus there. And now this was not the first time that Hassan has received death threats. The Syrian regime has a very keen interest in eliminating him. Because he was such a key conduit to get those military supplies to the rebels in affiliation with all these other Sunni affiliates that he had. But there's a message that's attached to his assassination that's very important, and that's classic intimidation tactics that we've seen in Syria time and time again. And the message is that there are consequences to going and defying the Syrian regime. And Hassan's assassination certainly got that message across. And if you look at the statements recently from Lebanese politicians following the assassination, including the Sunni Lebanese prime minister, including Maronite leaders like Michel Aoun, you can see very clearly that they're backing away completely from directly implicating the Syrian regime or Hezbollah. Now, everyone knows that the Syrian regime is the top suspect. And of course, Iran is facilitating a lot of Syria's movements in Lebanon. But there's a danger now because a lot of key officials do not want to become the next target like Hassan.
Well, in Lebanon, tensions are undeniably high. The army has been deployed to places like Beirut and Tripoli. But what does Stratfor see happening next in that country?
Well, we were asking ourselves whether this assassination could have similar effects as the February 2005 assassination of former Lebanese Prime Minister Rafik al-Hariri, because following that assassination, we saw a lot of momentum build up in Lebanon with the Cedar Revolution, which was backed by the West. And that is what drove Syrian forces, which remained there during the civil war and beyond, that actually drove them out of Lebanon. It was a key event, but that did not end Syria's influence in Lebanon. They maintained a very large security and intelligence presence in the country. Now, you could imagine that with Syria in flux, particularly the al-Assad regime on its last legs, and the Sunnis in Syria gaining all this momentum, that you could see a similar occurrence now where Lebanon, particularly Lebanese Sunnis, now try to rev up a campaign against Syria, against Iran, against Hezbollah. But we didn't see that this time. And I think the answer lies in the condition of the Sunni community in Lebanon, because if you tour Lebanese Sunni neighborhoods today, you'll find an extremely fragmented community. And the Sunni community in Lebanon is losing faith in the traditional secular leadership led by the Hariri family and backed by Saudi Arabia. What's more concerning is that we're seeing more Sunnis who are drifting to Sunni radical Islamist groups. And that Islamist landscape in Lebanon has become very dynamic recently, especially with the influx of Salafi jihadists that have entered the region since the Syrian crisis started to escalate. And so this is really the key trend to watch moving forward, is the condition of the Sunni community and the rise of Sunni Islamists in Lebanon.
So taking that trend the next step, do we see the Syrian civil war spreading to Lebanon, or if not to Lebanon, to other parts of the Middle East?
Definitely to Lebanon. You can't view Syria and Lebanon as distinct entities. They're part of the same geographic space, and there are obviously going to be repercussions, and we're already seeing that. And so already you're going to see sectarian tensions escalate. This time the major conflagration was averted following the Hassan assassination, but those tensions are still very, very high. And again, we need to watch that Sunni Islamist trend, because these are ideologically committed, battle-hardened militants in many respects, and they are going to be the more likely ones to provoke a conflict. Hezbollah, on the other hand, is not looking for a conflict, but they are hunkering down and preparing for an inevitable confrontation with their sectarian rivals in Lebanon. So we're going to see plenty of instability there. But it doesn't just stop in Lebanon. This is a conflict that can also extend to Iraq. And that's where Iran's gains could be threatened. I mean, Iran has spent the past decade trying to consolidate its gains in Iraq with the Shia majority population there. And that is a very key imperative for Iran to maintain. And so as we see this emboldened Sunni movement in Syria spread to Lebanon and to Iraq, that's where Iran has a lot to think about in preparing its assets, and no wonder we see Iran spending so much effort right now in trying to insert itself into a negotiation over a post-Assad transition to mitigate these effects.
Very interesting. All right, Reva. Well, that's all the time we have today. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for watching.